Hansi Flick's old club confirmed today that Vincent Kompany is the new manager. Of course, we discussed this over the last week. This is what Vincent Kompany had to say. I'm looking forward to the challenge of FC Bayern. As a coach, you have to stand for what you are as a character. I love having the ball, being creative, but we also have to be aggressive and courageous on the pitch. I'm now looking forward to the basics, working with the players, building a team. Once the basis is right, success will follow. Archie, obviously, we've discussed this with you before, and you were just saying, look, fans are just happy it's done. They're relieved that they've got a new manager who, if you believe reports, is the 8th choice. There is absolutely no way that any other big club in the world, be it Manchester City, be it PSG, be it Barcelona, would hire a coach that just got a team relegated in the Premier League. How much attention is that getting?
It's got a lot of tabloid attention, and I think that it is understandable because that is the headline. But when you look beyond that, Vincent Kompany has a huge name in football from what he achieved as a player. And as we've seen with the success of Xabi Alonso at Bayer Leverkusen, that is important and is a weapon if you can use it in the right way. So I think that, in a way, Bayern have taken a leaf out of what Bayer Leverkusen have done in their appointment of Vincent Kompany. And given the way that the situation was going, they've come up with, I think, an impressive solution to the problem for now, because they had to get a coach before making this summer upheaval. This is only the first part of the puzzle. They will also have, I think, a certain amount of authority over Vincent Kompany when it comes to transfers, which is important because there's been a lot of talk about whether a coach coming in would get the players that they would want. And I think by having Vincent Kompany, it takes the pressure off in that way, because I think they'll find it easier to say no to him because of the fact that he's really coming in wanting this job a little bit more than Bayern initially wanted him. So I think it's still an intriguing situation to see how it works out. And let's not forget that whilst I don't want to say that Vincent Kompany is going to become a managerial or coaching great here, there are coaching greats such as Jurgen Klopp, Arsene Wenger, who endured early relegations in their career and got to learn from them as well. And I think that for me would be something to emphasise, looking at the bigger picture and thinking about how his style of play with Burnley in the Championship, when he had a better quality of player and was able to dominate the league, that's going to be a more similar situation to what he'll have at Bayern rather than what he was facing with Burnley. That's not as much to, I think, associate with.
Frank, how would you feel if you're, say, a Thomas Muller in that Bayern dressing room with Kompany coming in?
I would be interested. And Archie explained exactly what I think. I think it's a good idea. Maybe the 8th choice, but I think it's a good idea. And the Xabi Alonso example is a great one.
Yes, I know. You could say Xabi Alonso, but you could also say Steven Gerrard. You could also say Frank Lampard. The list is much longer. It's much longer, this list, isn't it? Of great players who have failed as a coach than those who have succeeded. Plus, taking over a Bayer Leverkusen side is very different to taking over Bayern Munich, given the spotlight and given the expectations.
Okay, I agree with you, Dan, but give me a name of a coach, experienced coach, who's going to ensure you that Bayern Munich is going to be successful again. Nobody did, and nobody is going to be able to tell you, because it's impossible. And it's also up to the players in the dressing room to accept the new coach and to accept his ideas and the way they have to work together. Otherwise, of course, it's not going to work, but it will never work with any coaches, even with 20 years of experiences. And it's been shown lately in the recent past. So give a chance to the product. He's a legend of football. He has a past, and he has the credit that you need to handle a dressing room, unless you don't want him to do so. So Kimmich, Müller, and some others will have to accept that the fact he has maybe no experience, but he has ideas, and he wants to be successful, and he wants to work with them, and make sure that Bayern Munich goes back to the best of the best. You don't have the insurance is going to work, but you don't have the insurance is not going to work as well. So try it. Let's see. And as I always say, give a chance to the product. And I think Vincent Kompany is a very good product.
Frank, very positive, very optimistic. Would you be, Shaka, if you were in that dressing room?
Not right now, no. And listen, maybe things change and my mind changes once pre-season starts and I'm able to work with the new manager a little bit more closely. But the truth is, and while I understand, I guess, the parallels between Kompany and Xabi Alonso, maybe I understand the parallels between Burnley in the Championship and how we got them to play with a superior player. Bayern Munich, and the difference between Bayern Munich and Burnley is less about the quality of player that you have over the opposition, but how you manage expectations, how you manage the politics around the club, how you manage some of those talents and some of those egos. Vincent Kompany can walk into the Burnley dressing room and have a conversation and everybody sit up and take notice and hang on every word as though it was scripture because of who he was as a player. But if you can boast a CV as good as, if not better than Vincent Kompany's, his words don't carry that same gravity. And that, for me, is a challenge. And then, again, how do you... And I think this was part of Burnley's issue in getting relegated. Adjustments when things aren't going well, against a better opponent. If you're one down, if you're a man down, how do you make those adjustments? I'm not sure that Vincent Kompany got those absolutely right. You aren't allowed any kind of leeway when you're managing Bayern Munich. You cannot be... The opponent can be a man down and you lose in any competition. And I feel some of those things are learned. So it's one thing to talk about the Jurgen Klopps or whoever else who've been relegated and bounced back, but you learn those on the job under a lesser spotlight where maybe the stakes aren't as high, and you figure those things out. I don't think Bayern Munich is a club you go to figure things out.
It's all about how do you handle the pressure when it's not going well, because it happens to everybody. And he doesn't have the excuse of, well, the players aren't good enough for the Premier League. He doesn't have that anymore. And I think Xavi's a good example of the reason Xavi decided to leave Barcelona is because the pressure was getting to him. Because he came into it with no real CV either, did he? Let's be honest, at a top club. And Vincent Kompany's doing the same thing. He's gone into a huge club without the real depth of knowledge and serving his time, shall we put it that way, to know how to handle it when it's going wrong at such a big club. And that's the test. You know, he's got a lot of players in that Bayern Munich squad that have been there, seen it, done it. And so when he's telling them to do something, or he's trying to explain what he wants, and they're going, what? Hold on a second. Maybe this guy's not who we thought he was. But the biggest thing is, does he keep a cool head and does he keep a clear head when things are not quite working out? That's the biggest problem he's going to have.